For this video, I get to analyze the psychological gem that is misery. And when it comes to horror, this author is king. But even though this character displays a wide variety of symptoms, doesn't mean it's going to be a walk in the park. So strap on those hiking boots and let's break a leg.
It's for the best.
Annie, please!
Annie Wilkes hides her psychopathology perfectly in the beginning of this film, but as her screen time rolls on, we see just how crazy this woman is in the role that convinced novelists everywhere that maybe they shouldn't meet their fans. Since I'll be using clips and info from the movie to back up my diagnosis, this is your spoiler warning if you have yet to see this horrific masterpiece. When the famous romance novelist Paul Sheldon drives off the road during a blizzard, he is saved by Annie Wilkes, his self-appointed #1 fan. And as she carts him off to her house, she decides to take it upon herself to nurse him back to health. But as his recovery goes on, we see her true mental state. And let me just say, this gal's brain is a bag full of cats. Now I do feel like it would be cheating if I didn't mention that on the special edition release of the DVD, there is extra content that goes into diagnosing the character of Annie Wilkes. But after watching this special feature and disagreeing with her diagnosis, I've decided that A, I really need to get a life. And B, I believe I can offer a better, more exact diagnosis to explain her symptoms. But since the diagnosis is already present, let's use it as a springboard to write off any disorders that don't apply. First up on the chopping block is bipolar disorder. While I will agree that her mood fluctuates more often than a Taylor Swift relationship, I'd argue that a majority of her mood changes are elevated and euphoric, rather than depressive in nature. That being said, she does exhibit some... Hold on just a second. Hello?
Hey, Russell.
Oh, hey, baby.
What about that one scene where she's depressed while it's raining out?
That's a good point. She does exhibit some depression on screen, and even alludes to suicidal tendencies. But depression is such an important symptom for both bipolar 1 and 2 that it must display for most of the day. I just can't in right conscience diagnose it when it only exhibits in one scene. No, I think there's something that fits even better, which brings us to our next diagnosis on the special features, psychotic. This differential brought to you by Fun Time with Baby and Russell. Now I believe that the psychologist that landed a spot on the special features realized that throughout the film, Annie makes mention of talking to God and carrying out his will. This can be considered a hallucination, and from the way she interprets its meaning, it seems she uses it to satisfy her own agenda.
I asked God about you, and God said, I delivered him unto you so that you may show him the way.
But since psychotic is a broad umbrella term for a handful of disorders, we need to get out our strainers and shift through a full list of hallucinations and delusions. By making our way past schizophrenia, we land right on top of delusional disorder. Now a delusion, in contrast to a hallucination, is more of a false belief, like believing your spouse is cheating on you when you have no proof. So let's go down the criteria. Number 1, the delusions must be present for at least 1 month. Since there aren't any timestamps that I could see, we're going to have to base our calendar on how well Paul Sheldon heals. Since the general consensus is that an adult leg takes around 6 to 8 weeks to heal, and since Sheldon breaks it, has it set, and heals not once but twice, I think a month is a safe bet. Number 2, functioning is not markedly impaired. Since she is seen working on a farm and running errands, I'd say she's high functioning. I mean, she would have to be able to tie up a man as well as she did. Hey Annie, what kind of knots you use in there? Half hitch? No, that's so 90s. In the future, we just use saran wrap. Now there is one thing that really drew me to this specific disorder. And no, it's not its great use of alliteration. Oh, you guys. Actually, we get to decide what type of delusion he exhibits. One that really jumped out at me was erotomania. As I was saying, erotomania is a belief that centers around the delusion that another person is in love with the individual. That would actually be the first delusion you would consider when thinking of a stalker. So we've diagnosed her delusions, her hallucinations, her manic and depressed mood, but one thing we haven't discussed is her temper. Thanks to some crazy close-ups on her rage, we can see that her anger is equivalent to how I feel when my internet's too slow to load Netflix. So let's consider a personality disorder, because in the previously established diagnosis, the good doc put it down as a possibility. Now, what's it called when someone's controlling, desperately in need of attention, and overall full of themselves? Nah, I'm not talking about Kanye, I'm talking about narcissism. Narcissism is defined as extreme selfishness, with a grandiose view of one's own talents and craving for admiration. So let's check out narcissistic personality disorder. Oh, and guess what? Narcissistic individuals are prone to violent outbursts when they don't get their way. Now that sounds familiar. Number 1 has a grandiose sense of self-importance. Now she's got that for sure. She often expects to be recognized as a superior as she locks him up with no entertainment except herself. But hey, at least he's got his whole room. Ooh, sorry Gimpy. Number 2 is preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, or love. Her unnatural association with the main character of the books leaves her a scary individual when she doesn't like what's happening on the pages. Plus, when she takes on her God complex, she believes that she will somehow be elevated to a higher status for persuading Sheldon to write another book.
Oh, Paul, you're gonna make me the envy of the whole world.
Number 3 believes that she is special and should only associate with other special or famous people. The connection she believes she has between Sheldon and herself is enough to give this one a check. And let's face it, she is a special person. You know, I gotta be honest, this isn't the weirdest thing I've seen a celebrity do. Number 4 requires excessive admiration. Oh, she constantly looks to Sheldon for praise and approval throughout the movie.
Did I do good?
You did great.
And number 5 lacks empathy. Now this is where I deviate again from the good old PhD. He believes that Annie is sadistic, which means that she gains pleasure in Sheldon's pain. But I believe that her actions are driven by a selfish goal of keeping him there at any cost. Coupled up with her lack of empathy, and this is why she breaks his ankles, or tells him that they must be together.
You and I were meant to be together forever.
So all of it together explains her delusions, her inflated sense of self, her angry outbursts, and her obsession with Paul Sheldon. That's why I've decided that Annie Wilkes meets the diagnostic criteria for delusional disorder with erotomatic type and narcissistic personality disorder. Kathy Bates' role as Annie Wilkes earned her the first Academy Award for Best Lead Actress in a Horror Film, and after seeing her performance, I'm not surprised. Her portrayal of this woman's intense psychopathology is nail-biting to say the least. The film was received very well by the public and critics alike, and it will forever be known as the movie that convinced writers to always look over their shoulders. Misery dramatizes a worst-case scenario of stalking a celebrity. But that doesn't mean it's unheard of. Stalking is a real occurrence that happens every day, often by those who are close to the person of interest. If you or anyone you know is a victim of stalking, it's important for you to know what to do so you're protected. I've included some resources in the description below that will help you recognize the signs of stalking so you'll know what to do in such a situation. Thank you for watching my video on Annie Wilkes. I really enjoy doing these, and I look forward to the future movie characters I get to diagnose next. If you have a request for a movie character, leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Real Disorders.